Welcome to Roadtrip Roulette, a travel podcast with your hosts, Juliet
and Kevin. We're two friends here to serve as your tour guides on a virtual visit to a randomly selected U.S. town. We're going to bring you the local stories that you didn't think you'd care about and highlight the small town silliness that we all know is just beneath the surface.
Join us as we explore America one town at a time to discover the little things that make it great and sometimes not so great. Buckle up, we're about to start the show.
Town versus town.
Oh.
Town versus town.
I was going to go town versus town.
Oh, I went too quick.
Yeah.
That's what he... So,
Ooh, well, it's that time again.
It is. We're going to be talking about two towns. One of us will be representing something we may not want to represent. Mm-hmm. And the other one will have to pick a different town. So we're going to spin the dial here.
Well, first we flip a coin.
First we flip the coin.
So this is now a two-step chance process. Chance
that's
number
right.
one, the coin flip.
Well, what you win in the coin flip is the ability to pass on the first town
So
selection.
it's really a three-chance process. The coin flip, then the picking of the town, then the passing or keeping of it. That's a lot of gambling
I don't
factors.
understand all three of them. Like, all right, I get the coin flip.
Yeah.
And then...
The selecting of a town, that's a chance.
Well, that's a random... Yeah, that is.
Random
But
chance.
that's already part of the process.
It's all gambling. What we're saying is we're just gambling left and right.
And if anyone out there is putting money on this podcast, I would love to get a piece of it.
Yeah.
So
shoot us an email.
Please let us know about that.
Roadtrippod
So we're going to flip a coin right now.
at gmail.com.
And Juliet will call it in the air.
All right, I'm saying heads. Tails.
You got tails. So that means I get to choose whether the town that we're about to select from our city picker, roadtrippod.com, 2 P's in a pod, is going to be my town or her town.
Right.
So, here we go.
Spin that wheel.
All right, it's rolling. I'm real excited.
All right, the first town, Englewood, Ohio.
Englewood, Ohio.
Now, Englewood is a place.
In California, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like an LA area thing?
Englewood. Interesting.
Englewood. Like England.
Yeah. It's spelled with an E. Englewod.
This is a hard one.
I
feel
like that I didn't
this could be like
first.
I bet there's some people in Englewood.
Maybe not.
But it is Ohio.
Yeah.
Which I don't mean to alienate our dear listeners, but not my favorite area of the country.
Ooh, burn from Kevin. Ohio.
So that's why.
How are you going to respond to that?
Well, we'll find out when I get to tear apart your story. When
All
you
right.
do Englewood, Ohio.
Come to me, Englewood, Ohio.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm going to write that.
Kevin's going to write this down so we remember. He's the official record keeper of the Road Trip Roulette podcast.
On this day. So
All
here
right.
I go.
Now
I'm taking another chance. As
Yeah.
Juliet said, a lot of
See?
chances being taken. I could be setting myself up for nothing but failure. So I'm about to find out what town I'm going to represent.
All right. It's spinning.
I'm picking a city. Here we go. We're going to get something cool. I know it.
Ooh.
Gill's Rock, Wisconsin.
Kevin, you think there's a rock there?
Hey, there's already a question. Like, there's already meat on this bone.
All right.
Someone named Gill has a rock.
Oh, cool, Kev. You can talk about a rock. Have fun.
How about we talk about gills? Before humans were walking this earth, there were plenty of fish. And how do you think they oxidized their bodies?
Pro-evolution, huh? Interesting.
I am very pro-evolution. You know where they're not? Englewood, Ohio. They teach nothing but creationism there. That's what I hear.
Okay, well, that's purely conjecture.
Gill's Rock, when that little fish crawled out of the ocean onto that rock? We're talking about Gill's Rock here.
All right, how about we come back and with some actual facts and knowledge about these two towns and battle it out and see who wins.
That's right. And then when I win, we can have some cheese from Gill's Rock, Wisconsin, because it's a cheese thing.
I was curious how you were getting there, and it's like, obviously, the Wisconsin cheese.
Yes.
Yeah. I've never saying no to cheese.
That's right.
What's Ohio's food? I don't know.
Oh.
Acorns? What am I thinking of?
Acorns?
I don't know.
Ohio. Populous state with
Akron.
plenty...
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
Akron.
I'm sure they have wonderful food.
I'll find some wonderful Englewood cuisine to bring up in our debate.
Oh, I'm sure in my counter research I will find something great to talk about.
All right, well, we'll be right back with Englewood, Ohio versus Gill's Rock, Wisconsin.
Go Wisconsin!
Go Ohio! Okay, here we are.
We're back! Hey!
Town versus town. Are you ready to throw down, Kev?
I think so. I think mine's going to be hard to beat.
Ooh, we got some good towns this one.
Lots of history. Some fun stories. A battle was fought in my town that I'm excited to talk about.
I got some thrills.
Really?
Some real thrills.
All right, well, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, my town is Gill's Rock, Wisconsin. The Gill in the name of the town is Elias Gill. He was a 19th century landowner and lumberjack. Actually, I had a different name before it was Gill's Rock. It was called Hedgehog Harbor.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I like it too.
It's much better.
There's a story about it. So this guy, Amos Lovejoy, he was a local fisherman. In 1855, Lovejoy decided to store his sloop for the winter on the shores of a cove that he liked to fish. Over the winter, a family of hedgehogs moved on board. When Lovejoy launched his sloop again in the spring, he didn't notice the many holes the hedgehogs had chewed into the wooden hull. The boat began to take on water, and Lovejoy was forced to abandon the sloop in the bay, hence Hedgehog Harbor. Gill's Rock is at the top of the peninsula that sticks out into Lake Michigan. It's kind of where Green Bay meets Lake Michigan.
Okay.
It kind of sticks out like a sword. So it's way at the tip of this enormous peninsula. And that water between Green Bay and the Lake Michigan is called Death's Door. And it gets its name from a thing I'll tell you about a little later.
Okay.
Yeah, so town's been there for about 200 years. Before that, many Native Americans lived there. How old is your town?
Well, so Englewood was not actually founded until 1841. There's some early settlers and family names that no one cares about that I won't get into. It's an agricultural area and still is in a lot of ways. Lots of grain shipping. There's also Native Americans lived in this area. At the time that white settlers arrived, they were still living there. The town has a pretty decent population for a small town, about 13,000. It's been pretty steady since the 80s. There was a huge jump in population in the 70s. So the population in 1960 was 1,500. By 1980, it was 11,000. So that's when things really started to get good in Englewood. But as you'll see later, life was still pretty fun before then.
Oh, I have a feeling I know what you're going to talk about, and I have a lot to say about it.
So, well, I should also add, as I said in my intro, I promised some good eats in Englewood, and boy, does this town deliver. Yeah, it's a small town, but you got at least 4 different types of cuisine available for you.
Cuisine?
Yeah, you got your American food from your taverns, like Toll House, and, of course, TJ Chumps, a vibrant pub with sports on TV and a menu of wings, burgers, steaks, seafood, pizza, and more.
That name checks out.
Right. Casano's Pizza King, that's an Italian eatery.
I can tell by the name.
La Fiesta, Mexican restaurant, and, of course, you can get some Chinese food here at Yenching House. And there's, like, a wine bar. Like, I'm telling you, this town is hopping. I think you would have a great afternoon eating your way through Englewood.
Well, it sounds great. Only if the route through town wasn't so reckless. Oh, that's a little tease for later. Tease for later. Roadtrip Roulette listeners, I need to tell you something. In the past, when we've done town versus town, I just beat up her town. I really like her town. So it's going to be really difficult. So I'll give you a little bit of the things I like. So we both have a story to tell about our towns. Mine, again, Gill's Rock, Wisconsin, actually is about a petrograph that was found there.
Oh, cool.
Do you know what a petrograph is?
It's like a cave drawing.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Yeah.
They like to think they made up the term petrograph in Gill's Rock, which is sort of a mix between petroglyph and pictograph.
Okay. I was probably thinking of petroglyph.
Yeah. Petroglyph is an artifact carved in rock, and a pictograph is a picture made on a variety of surfaces. So this is actually a picture
Okay.
depicting something on rock. It's a painting, and it's been there for 360 years. It's actually quite faded now, but it's a depiction of an epic Native American battle between tribes. As I mentioned earlier, the peninsula kind of comes to this head, and there's a little bay. Right on that bay lived the Potawatomi tribe. The Potawatomis actually had shared stories with early Norse and Icelandic immigrants who settled in the area.
Oh,
And so this story got passed down over the years.
that's very interesting.
So the Potawatomi lived there very peacefully for many, many years. And then the Ojibwe Indians moved to the area, and they both actually lived together fairly peacefully. But the Ojibwe had recently been chased out of their native land by the Iroquois, who apparently were a very hostile federation of 5 tribes bent on the annihilation of other groups for the purpose of taking their hunting and trapping grounds for the fur trade with the Europeans. So I'm getting this from a local historian
Right.
in Gill's Rock. I don't want to disparage the Iroquois, but this is what I read. So the Iroquois were actually armed by Dutch traders. The Ojibwe left an area that they were getting pushed out by the Iroquois. So they knew they were coming eventually this way with guns. So the Ojibwe had scouts that reported an attack by about 1,200 warriors in canoes was imminent. With the help of the Potawatomi, an elaborate ruse was set so that the invaders would be lured under darkness to the land below the bluffs. So they scattered out on these cliffs. They wanted to trap these Indians. As the Iroquois paddled toward what they thought was a signal light for the landing site, hundreds of Ojibwe and Potawatomi warriors were in place along the bluffs, armed with bows and arrows, just firing at them. Additional warriors and canoes were in place to pin the invaders along the bluffs as a massacre ensued. So I couldn't find much information on how exactly the battle ended, but the entire thing is depicted in this petrograph. It's 400 feet wide, and it's really faded, so there's only portions of it left. So a lot of the local townspeople are trying to save it. They're raising money. They actually started a group called the Gill's Rock Petrograph Preservation Organization Board.
Very, very brief. It rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, the PRPPOB.
Yeah, the PRPBOB.
Yeah, they want to save this thing. It's been there for a very long time, and it's just getting walloped by erosion, winds, rain.
Because it's outside, I'm assuming.
It's outside on the water, like just getting chewed up. They want to like set up a security thing so that they can watch when people are out there.
Okay, well, not everything's meant to last.
Yeah, especially when the story isn't nailed down.
Right. Well, and also I think like you put something on a piece of art on display facing the ocean, the harsh breeze,
Yeah.
that salt air. That's not going to be an enduring piece of art.
No.
Now, to be clear, I am not advocating the destruction of Native American art. I'm just saying that I think maybe long-term placement was a poor choice.
Right, and also I was reading other accounts where there was another situation where hundreds of warriors were coming up the same ridge, and then they were taken out by a storm.
So you feel like
I feel like the story's a little. There's like pieces of it here and there, and it's like different narratives.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But this town's got history. And interesting
so much history.
Visual history
So
as well.
the name Death's Door,
Yeah.
which is the harbor, kind of the area in between the Green Bay and Lake Michigan, got its name from this battle. But also, when Europeans started coming in, they would run aground all the time, like in this area. So it's to this day a very famous area to go scuba diving, looking for shipwrecks. So we got that going. That's it. The end of my story. I don't have because the story didn't end.
No, I think that's really cool. Nice. That's something someone could visit if they were checking this town out.
It can only be seen by kayak, I'm told.
Oh, well, get in your kayak, paddle on out there.
Yes.
Okay, well, now, a lot of this podcast, we cover small town life. And when we think about small town living and small town life, what do you think about first?
Neighbors talking to people, knowing all the gossip in town.
See, I think excitement and thrills, which is exactly what we will bring you here in Englewood. This story is not an account of modern day Englewood. This is a very specific time in the city's history. But for about 15 years, between 1935 and 1950, where it was nothing but thrills, day and night in the city center.
Uh-huh. Especially for old Web J.
Poor old Web J. We'll get to him in a minute. But so let me give you a little background here. So I'm reading from a document that was prepared by a man named Earl Heck, who is a former postmaster of Englewood, which explains why the document goes into so much detail.
I love it.
About the history of the post office and the chronicling of previous and former postmasters.
I love it so much.
So this man took a long time and wrote down his experiences living in the town and interviewed other people about it. And he has an entire chapter in this document called Wrecks. A history of Englewood would scarcely be complete without giving some accounts that occurred between 1935 and 1950 at the village corner. By 1935, much of the freight once done by the railroads were being hauled by motor transport. This was something happening across America at the time and something we're all familiar with. We see those big rigs every day on the highways, right?
Is before the major, freeways.
So Route 40 was a great highway that ran right through the town, in a lot of the country too, and it became quite an issue.
Yes.
Many of the truck drivers were not aware of the fact that one must turn to the right at the corner on Route 40 through Englewood. You can imagine it. A truck is plying through town, they're on this thoroughfare, and they have to make an immediate right unexpectedly.
Yeah, and they were already halfway across the street before they realized this, most of the time.
So here's what happened. Trucks constantly crashed in this one intersection for 15 goddamn years. And this man made a list of all of those accidents.
Yes.
So he refers often to a truck being upset. From what I can tell, that means just tipped over. Yeah. Because he uses that language a lot. I think that's what he was talking about. I'm not going to do all of them because there are dozens. The first one was in 1935. A truck filled with rabbits ran into the Baker's Inn, cracking the wall. That same year, an egg truck upset, throwing egg crates around. The townspeople gathered the good eggs. Some had enough to last through the winter.
Yes. What a time.
Then there was a melon truck in front of Web J's house, knocking down his brick porch. This porch was knocked down 4 times in 5 years.
How do you think that goes about getting fixed? Like, there's no insurance.
No, he just rebuilt it.
He just
got more bricks, built it up, and another truck would plow right through it.
What do you think Web J would say every morning when he walked out and he saw the destruction? Well, apparently, he must have heard it.
It would wake him up, I think.
For God's sakes, happen again!
Tell you, they tried lots of different things. They put a traffic light, and they actually found the traffic light caused more accidents.
Really?
Because trucks would try to plow through, like, go right through it.
Oh, they speed up at a yellow.
Yeah, and still not realizing they had to turn. So when they took down the traffic light, they realized there were less accidents. Wow. Okay, here's a great one. In 1941, in the summer, a large truck filled with all kinds of bottles upset in front of Baker's Inn. Baker's Inn's getting hit a lot, too. Later that same summer, only a few days after the bottle crash, a whiskey truck upset in the same place. At midnight, workmen came home from Dayton with groceries and milk bottles. When they saw the half-broken casks, they emptied the milk and filled them with whiskey. Mm-hmm. A crate of soft drink bottles in front of Bog Baker's Inn was missing the next morning. It is believed that people took them to fill them with the whiskey.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Okay, here's another good one. Next year, 1942. In May, a large truck coming from the east over the dam crashed into a woman's bedroom in the Overlook Motel at the west end of the dam. It is said the woman slept so soundly that she was awakened only after the truck driver tooted his horn not more than 2 feet from her bed.
That is hard to believe.
It's probably not true. Fred Roth, who's that? I don't know. Went down to see this room, and it was unbelievably wrecked. Not a shred of furniture was left untouched. A young boy sleeping with the woman was unharmed, though the bed was covered in glass.
It's hard to believe.
Now, this goes on and on. There are 3 pages of incidents of truck crashes. I wanted to highlight a few more. Yes.
Did you read the lamp black one?
Yeah, here, I'll do that one right now. September 12th, 1943. We'll never forget that date. It was a Sunday. A truck filled with lampblack upset in front of Waymare's store. Everything was covered with it, which shifted it through the doors and windows. In the evening, the fire department tried to scrub the town to little effect. It was tracked into all the businesses, making the floors a sorry sight.
Now, I had to look up what lampblack is. Did you know what it was when you read that?
I'm assuming it's like a fuel? A lamp fuel? Am I wrong?
It's like a black powdery
Okay.
substance that turns like tar.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's tough. That would be tough to get out.
I don't remember what it was used for. It must have been a fuel.
Okay. I'll add in this one, which was just buried in this list of wrecks, which is in fact not a wreck. There was also a mysterious explosion at the home of Miss Dixon on the morning of the day her husband was buried. One of the sons was to be married, and the bomb was delivered to him in the shape of a wedding present. I was on my way to work that morning at about 6:45, and when I heard it, I thought it was some lumber falling down at the White Shell garage. The mystery was never solved. Now, that's not a wreck. That's someone delivering a bomb, but it's listed within all these other wrecks.
It's a calamity.
Now, I know I'm supposed to be, like, upselling this town, but here's one that peaks to the seedy underbelly of racism in this town. Have you noticed something that's not been mentioned? Any of the drivers.
No, they did
Or
not
anything
say
about them.
a white person here.
1949, in October, a large van loaded with relief supplies coming from the west and driven by two Mexicans ran into the northwest corner of Klepper Hardware Store. The remarkable thing was... Now, this is remarkable. The remarkable thing was that the truck was entirely on the sidewalk, almost parallel with the street and building. The rear wheel was some 30 inches from the curb. It would have taken a skilled driver to get the truck into that curious position if it had been their intent. The whole northwest corner of the building was demolished, along with a brick front and plate glass window. So it wasn't good. The truck entered the sidewalk so neatly that it actually missed a parked car parallel to the curb. Robert Heeb, who lives above the store, was awakened by the crash and described it as terrific, which is not a word we use a lot in that scenario, but if you think about it, the root of terrific is terrible.
Yes.
Anyway, so I think this is the original origin of the word. Someone who lived in the neighborhood to the north came rushing out, poorly clad, and screamed and shouted to all that would listen, "Lynch them, kill them," meaning the truck drivers. That was rough.
The 40s?
49.
49.
So what happened here was, after 15 years of torment, this town of being constantly crashed into, they moved Route 40. They moved it south of town.
Uh-huh.
It's been a lot better ever since.
I did, so I read much of what Juliet had read, and it excited me to no end. Mm-hmm. Once again, I'll go through, I made a little list of all the things that the trucks were carrying, because he kept mentioning them.
Yes, he
did. So a lot of these Juliet mentioned, but putting them all together is kind of funny. So these trucks were hauling rabbits, eggs, melons, steel, assorted bottles, pigs, lampblack, transmissions, racehorses, furniture, hydrochloric acid, and relief supplies, which I don't know what that is.
Oh, 40... No, we weren't in a war anymore. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're between wars.
Well, wait. 49, were we in Korea yet?
No.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Did you come across the Phantom of Englewood, Ohio?
Oh, just what I was about to get to.
Ooh.
Now, if you thought, sounds like the thrill is gone from this town.
Damn, I thought I caught you on something.
I know. No. 2 years after they moved Route 40, the Phantom appears. March 7th, 1952. Here's an account of a curious case published in the Dayton Journal-Herald. A phantom motorist who dresses in a bizarre mask and skeleton costume to terrorize truck drivers on US 40 is being sought by the police. The weird case began some 3 months ago. Gathering in roadside cafes, the truck men exchanged accounts. Their stories rarely varied and always contained the same hair-raising accounts. This is what they tell. As they near Englewood, usually while crossing the Taylorsville or Englewood dams, a gray car drives straight towards them. The car's lights burn on bright, bear down on the trucks, and then suddenly go out. A small light appears in the car, revealing a masked head, which the truck drivers describe as horrible. Now, that is scary as hell.
I love the language is great. Horrible on this, terrific on the other.
Terrific on that. Yeah, let me tell you, if you want to know anything about this town, boy, has Earl Heck written it down for you.
He wrote so much about the Phantom, too, that, like, the Phantom wrote letters to the sheriff, and, like, there was all this crazy stuff.
So this appears to have been written. Earl Heck wrote this all up in 1969.
Yes.
it might not account for modern day Englewood, but it was right before the town boomed. So he's writing it at a time when the population is still around 1,000 people. So everyone probably does know everybody, which is why it's so riddled with first names of people.
Yeah. You know, it's a little snapshot.
Yeah.
Of a small town in the Midwest.
Yes.
Is Ohio the Midwest?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we should come up with a couple closing things to say. So I mentioned a little history thing that happened in Gill's Rock, how the town got its name, that it has hedgehogs. If you go there, what can you do today besides kayak out there and see that petrograph? You can actually go to Charlie's Smokehouse, which is super famous, and it has smoked fish, which apparently is the best around. So I went to their website, and I swear to God, I almost ordered like 4 pounds of it shipped to Austin, Texas.
What kind of fish?
So they have, I don't know what chub is.
I don't know what it is either.
But people were talking about the chub. They have trout, which apparently is awesome.
I
they
love
have
smoked
Atlantic
trout.
salmon. They have like 4 or 5 different types of smoked fish, and it sounds amazing. They have like a party pack you can buy.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this place is actually, like I said, a landmark in the area. Charlie's Smokehouse. It started in 1932 by Charlie's father, Roy, and it actually operated until 1984 without a name at all. It was just a smokehouse up the street that people were like, oh, go to Charlie's Smokehouse or go to Roy's Smokehouse. There was no like sign. There was no name. Eventually, they just had to put a thing up. And
Sign.
yeah. So go to Charlie's and get some smoked fish because it sounds amazing. I was reading about it on Yelp and I got so hungry I had to almost buy it. So I have a bookmarked on my computer. I might still do it.
Nice. Well, sounds like quite the town.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, though it appears maybe the real thrill of Englewood living left when they moved Route 40, I still think this town has a lot to offer. Like I said, quite the cuisine available. The 4 major kinds of food.
Yeah.
American, Mexican,
Yeah.
Italian, and Chinese.
3 continents worth of food.
Yeah. But it has a great school system from what I can tell. Seems like a lovely community. And boy, could you probably still hear stories about dozens and dozens of car accidents.
And
from a certain era.
If those people didn't die in those car crashes, they'd be dead today anyway.
So here's a great piece of trivia. Nobody died in all of these
Yeah.
wrecks. Not a single... There were some people seriously hurt, but nobody died. But also, if you lived in this town before the year 1969, your life story is in this PDF available on the Englewood Wikipedia page.
I wonder if WebJ's kids are still alive.
Right. Ask them about those porches.
Like, oh, porch number 3. Now that was a porch.
Right. Well, Kev, I feel like we got 2 pretty quality towns here.
I do. You know, we're going to throw it out to the listening audience, perhaps, if you want to decide which one you like better. But maybe they're both good.
Maybe they both have a lot to offer in their own special ways.
Yeah.
Except for the racism. Probably in both.
I mean, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Gill's Rock in terms of their racism, but they certainly didn't like the Iroquois.
Yeah.
But that's coming from the Native American perspective, from what I understand. Okay. Well, and remember, you can visit us at roadtrippod.com to find your own town.
Use our famous city picker.
That's right.
Well, thanks for listening, and remember, please don't tell them we sent you.